All right, I'd like to take a moment to point something out. Along the way, during this most recent election cycle, did anybody notice that I didn't tell anybody who to vote for? I may have pointed out the contrast between one side or the other, but I didn't say vote for this person, vote for that person, what have you. I encourage people to vote for themselves, and by doing so, they would be voting for their country. At least wise if the majority turned out to vote for themselves and their country. And that's exactly what happened. Thank goodness. Does that mean we're out of the woods? Oh no, not by a long shot. When Trump left office in 2020, I had written him, I don't know if you call it an email, I guess, on whitehouse.gov prior to that, congratulating him on the skillful way that he had worked around the system to accomplish building the wall and several other things that he had gotten done before COVID came along. Never realizing that there's more to this guy than meets the eye. Thinking that when he hit Washington and assumed power the first time, that things were kind of as he stated they were. I didn't know how deep the swamp was and so forth and so on. When the reality of it is, he knew exactly what he was looking at when he got there. And that leads me to my second message on whitehouse.gov, where I told him exactly what they would do if he left office in 2020. That they'd try to destroy him and his business, and if that worked, they would go after his family, and that they'd open the borders and thousands of illegals would, thousands, if not millions, and it turns out millions, of illegals would be allowed to cross our border, and that he was literally violating his oath to the Constitution by not doing what needed to be done, in my estimation, at that time. Thinking at the time, as I had before, that he didn't really know what was going to happen. I have since reconsidered that position. He knew exactly what was going to happen the entire time and had planned accordingly. What people seem to forget about is that he declassified a whole bunch of documents according to what goes on behind the scenes of our government while he was in office the first time. Those documents have never or haven't been released up to this point. I have a sneaking suspicion that's what they were looking for when they raided Mar-a-Lago, looking for said documents, so that they could protect themselves from what amounts to the long arm of justice. So, like I said, this ain't over, and I'll finish up by saying what I told him at the end of that second letter, which I'm pretty sure he had at the very least, was brought to his attention because shortly after that, this is around the time of the midterms, maybe, not before then, he actually mentioned my name. Of, I can't believe people are quitting or giving up, which the reality of it is I didn't quit or give up. I meant exactly what I said to him at the end of that letter or email on whitehouse.gov. You will be known as the president who lost America if you do this. And like I said, I was thinking that he didn't know how it was going to play out if he left office. And the final line that I said and don't regret, if you're not willing to hold up your oath to the Constitution, when the time comes, I will. I have a real problem with people who don't do what they say they're going to do. I'm not allowed to be that person. When someone drops their vehicle off or hires me to do a job, no matter what it is, and I say I'm going to do it, it's on me to deliver. And falling short and making excuses is not an option. And walking, in my thinking at the time, off the battlefield was completely unacceptable. I can't control whether or not other people keep their word or not. The only thing I can do is make damn sure that I do it when I put my word on the line. And God help us if he doesn't. God help us if he's the modern day Benedict Arnold instead of the modern day George Washington that he could be. There are some people out there that think that it's all part of the same old game and he's here to usher in the new world order. Quite frankly, that's not what I'm seeing. Now, if he ever comes out and says you need to have this chip implanted in you and turns his back on religion in this country and all of the things that the Bible says need to happen to set up the conditions for revelation, I'll change my tune. But until that time, based on performance, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Even though up to this point, he hasn't done the repair that he said he was going to do. But it sure does look like he's tearing into and working on all of the right pieces. And I can support that because it's fairly obvious to me there's a job that needs to be done in this country. And even though he had the opportunity to walk away, he came back in the shop and it looks like he's prepared to do it. Unfortunately, here's the problem with the repairs. It don't always go like you plan on it going. Now that you can't please every single customer. Things are going to go wrong. Things aren't going to turn out like the mechanic or the customer dreamed that they would when they decided to commit to the time, effort, and the money to get the job done. That's just the way it is. It's an undisputable fact of making repairs. But one of the biggest hurdles has been cleared because he has transformed the Republican Party into what it was intended to be instead of what it's become. And in the process, exposed the Democrats for the skunks that they are. And that's why they're in such a panic. And that's why a lot of them are threatening to leave the country or have already left, because they don't want to be held accountable for the things that they've done. They would much rather accuse the other guy of doing exactly what it is they have been doing, just like they have been doing all along.